All right, so emotion is powerful. Triggering emotion is powerful. Showing them what the solution is powerful. However, there's another element to all of this copywriting stuff that you have to get right if you want them to actually take action. And that is the power of belief. You need to control and influence their beliefs so that they believe certain things so that they will take action. Again, if you ask yourself where they are now, what action you want them to take, where you want them to go, and there's the things they need to do, see, and experience in the middle to get them there. And one of the most powerful things that needs to happen is they need to start to believe certain things. Now, it's going to be a little bit different for each piece of copy you write, each situation, each copy, each brand. There are certain things that they're going to need to believe in order to take action, and you need to define those things when you sit down and do your analysis before you actually write your copy. There are a few things that are universal. You certainly want them to believe that you're a credible source. You want them to believe that the solution that you recommend is actually going to work for them. There are certain things that are universal. I'm going to show you how to establish those in the later videos. But also, there will be different beliefs you have to create and influence in their mind depending on each piece of copy that you write. So you need to understand generally how to create belief and how to influence the belief inside of their own mind. So over the next few videos, I'm going to show you how to establish those common beliefs and also how to influence other beliefs you might need to as you create the content, as you create the copy and the funnels for your clients and for yourself. So if you want them to believe you, they need to believe that you're a credible source. And that's one of the first sort of beliefs that you're almost always going to have established with your readers. And you're going to want to reinforce this over time throughout your funnels, but you need to help them believe that you are actual an authority and an actual credible source. Now, the first and greatest way that you can do this is to show them the results that you have created for yourself and for other people. If you as a business owner are trying to promise a dream outcome to a reader, you need to show them how you've either created that exact same result inside of your own life or how you've created in other people's lives, ideally both. You want to be able to show them the results that you can create and have created for yourself. They're going to tend to believe you if you have a story where you actually, achieve the thing that you say that you're going to help them achieve. That is extremely important if you want to believe that they are a credible source. So showing them results, showing them your discovery story is an extremely powerful way to get them to believe that what you're about to recommend is something that can actually work for them. So that's a huge part of it. The other side is the organizational backing. Let's say you wanted to write a book about negotiation. If you happen to be the lead negotiator for the FBI hostage rescue team for a long time, that might give you the organizational backing that might make people want to believe you. If you're a Harvard medical doctor that's done extensive work with Harvard, that might make people believe that you're a credible source when it comes to medical stuff. If there are certain organizations that have status, that have authority, if they have backed they have backed what you're about to recommend, that is going to massively increase the trust that someone has in your authority and in your credibility. Another thing that's helpful is just general status symbols. People like to follow leaders. So if you as a person have those same status symbols that show that you are a leader, they're more likely to follow you. If you have indicators of health, you're attractive, clean, fit, physically fit, that helps. That helps people want to believe that you're a trustable source or a verifiable source. If you have indicators of love and relationships in your life, you have a beautiful wife, you have a beautiful family, etc., good friends, that is something that's going to massively increase your trust as a person. Another thing that's going to increase your authority and trust is if you have indicators of wealth. So nice clothes, nice house, wealthy area of life, that kind of stuff. Indicators of wealth also show that you're probably someone worth listening to because you've made some money, right? So those are elements that can lead to authority, they can lead to trust. Another thing is if they see a lot of people following you, if you have a following of people, then you must be a leader. If they're following you, there must be a reason. So social media accounts with a high follower count, if you have a lot of testimonials, which we're going to talk a little bit more in a later video. But if you've got people, like a lot of people that are following someone or that you can show that other people have listened to you in the past, it is something that is going to massively boost your authority, massively boost your credibility. Also, if you have access to or association with celebrities in the space, that's something that's very valuable. Let's say you're a fitness influencer and you've got pictures with Arnold Schwarzenegger or whoever is big these days. That sort of association with celebrity is going to boost your credibility, right? Because you're kind of banking on their goodwill and the association with them. If you yourself are a celebrity, that's obviously best. But if not, at least associating with celebrities in the space or in related spaces is going to help boost your authority as an individual. All of these things are examples of ways that you can boost the credibility, that you can boost the authority that you're going to have in a space. Now, you might use some of them, you might use all of them. You're going to want to mix them into your copy. And with all of these, it's and with almost everything in copywriting, it's always better to show rather than tell. If you say, hey, trust me, I'm rich, that's cool. But if you show them an indicator of wealth, then they're going to have that belief anyway. So it's better to show these things instead of just telling them. You can tell and show, but it's definitely best to show rather than just tell. So these are some of the elements that you could present in front of your reader throughout the copy, maybe in the beginning, maybe in the middle, maybe the end, that would boost your authority, boost your credibility so that they're going to believe in the recommendations that you propose to them. All right, so whenever you make a claim or you have something you want them to believe, you need to give them a logical reason why they should believe that thing. Now, you shouldn't dive into the wormhole of logic and nitty-gritty facts, and you can get too analytical with this, and you shouldn't do that because you don't want to kill the emotion. People buy with emotion, they justify with logic, but you do need to give them just enough of a reason why they should believe something on a logical basis so that that logical part of their brain will be, okay, yeah, we can believe this. And the biggest way you do this is by mixing in logical language into your copy. And when I say logical language, I mean just giving them reasons why, connecting statements of like claim or benefit with a reason why. And there's a couple of basic patterns you can use, like if blank, then this. Like if you stop eating so much food, then you will lose weight. If you give them little links that show them cause and effect, that will typically satisfy the logical part of the brain, as long as it basically makes sense. The layman explanation, right? Because blank. The reason why is here's why. Things like that. Basic language patterns that allow them to, their logical part of their brain to actually lock into that. Therefore, because just giving them a reason, just giving them one little simple logical reason is a very, very powerful way for their brain to start to actually believe something. You're going to want to layer that in throughout your copy as you make these different claims. Another powerful way to help them understand something that's connected to this on the logical side is to give them metaphors, right? So if you make a claim, you can give them a related metaphor that will help them understand that mechanism that you've just given them. And if it's something that's very common and very believable, then they're definitely going to understand that, right? It's like, hey, let's say, for example, that you were going to sell a program to help people sleep better because recovery is important, right? And you say, hey, if you drive your car at 8,000 RPMs nonstop, you're going to have engine problems. Same thing with your body. If you use your body too strong without actually calming back down and recovering, then your engine will explode. It's a metaphor, but it sinks the belief because it's relating that sort of idea that you're trying to propose, that claim that you're trying to have them believe. You're relating it to something they already know and believe. So start mixing in logical language and also start mixing in the power of metaphor when necessary to strengthen the belief in any kind of claim that you're making based on the things that you've determined they need to believe in order to take action. So mix in the logical language, give them little reasons, because, why, therefore, if, then, and also start using the power of metaphor so that they're going to say, this is just like that other thing. And I believe that other thing, so I'm going to believe the thing that this guy is telling me right now. So the other important thing you could do is to literally show them proof. Now, there's a lot of ways to show them proof, but if you make a claim about something, you want to immediately show them proof. Like, for example, let's say that you're trying to tell them that a certain sector in the stock market is about to take off, right? If you say, hey, the solar industry is set to 10x because of this new regulatory thing that has been passed by the US government, you can literally show them proof. Look, here is a screenshot. Here's a picture of the document. I've highlighted the part that's going to change this industry. You've given them a claim, and then you've shown them the proof. So now they're more likely to believe that thing. You could do this in a million other ways. Hey, if caffeine consumption has been linked to increased brain productivity. Here is a study from Harvard Medical where they did a study and they saw that caffeine consumption increased brain cognitive ability by 25%. And you show them and you actually link to the study, link to the findings. Backing up any claim you have with actual empirical proof is a really powerful way to get them to believe what you are telling them is true. Anytime you make a claim, anytime you want them to believe something, ask yourself, what can I show them that would make them believe that? Is there any empirical proof? Is there anything I can show them? Now, you don't have to do this You don't want to overwhelm them with boring data. You want to present it in a way that's interesting and compelling. But if you can back up your claim with outside proof from other forces, whether that's a chart or a study or an image or a screenshot, if you can show them the actual source for that claim, you're going to much more easily get them to believe things. Actually showing them that is going to be a huge example. This is extremely common in financial copy. I recommend you guys take a look at the examples that follow to understand that. But anytime you can back up a claim with actual proof from a study or with actual real life data, they are more likely to believe the underlying premises of what you're actually saying. Those premises are going to be locked in their brain because of the proof that you are showing them. The other big factor, the other big way to drive belief is to show them what's called social proof. As humans, we're very social animals. We don't have time to try and figure out everything ourselves. A lot of times when we are in a situation where we aren't sure, we look around us to see what the other humans are doing. And if other humans are acting a certain way, we'll act that way, because if they're doing it, it must be safe. It must be the right thing. I'm going to do that. I'm going to assume that they put in the time and energy to figure this out. Called social proof. It's a flawed method for determining the truth, but it's a shortcut that we use because it saves us brain calories. And you can leverage this to help influence people's beliefs. If you can show them how other people have believed something or done something, how if lots of people have purchased this product and got this result, they're going to believe that the underlying claims are correct. If they see that lots of people are acting this way or lots of people are choosing to believe a certain thing, they are more likely to believe that thing to be true. So whenever possible, you want to leverage in indicators that other people have chosen to do this or have decided that this is true, because that's going to increase the ability for your average reader to believe that it is actually true. So testimonials, case studies, follower counts, referencing people that you've worked to in the past, telling stories that subtly drop hints about the fact that other people have done this or believe this as well, studies that show that a large percentage of the population does X or whatever. You want to find as many ways as possible to show your reader how this has helped other human beings, and other human beings have already sort of proven that this is safe or true. That is a very powerful tool that you're going to want to mix in as much as possible if you want them to believe the claims that you make. For someone to believe that a recommendation that you're going to make is true, they often have to believe that it is something that is tailor-made for them, or it's going to fit their situation. If they think the recommendation you're making is for a different type of person than they are, or for someone who is in a different situation, they're not very likely to believe it's going to work for them. That's an important common belief that you're going to need to establish, is that, hey, this particular recommendation, this product, this content, whatever it might be, is actually for people just like you. Now, one of the best ways you can do that is from the very beginning, you can say who this is for. You can call out your avatar. Essentially, you can say, are you experiencing X? Are you experiencing Y? Attention, all stay-at-home moms, whatever it happens to be. If you can call out at the very beginning and let them know from the very beginning that this recommendation, the stuff and the words you're saying and the actions you want them to take is specifically for people like them, they're more likely to believe that it's actually going to produce the result that you say it's going to be. The more customized something is to the individual, the greater their credibility and the greater that they are going to believe that it's actually going to work, right? So you want to help them understand through either addressing literally straight from the very beginning that it's to them, whether it's talking about specifically their values throughout their existing worldview. If you can sort of weave that in and they say, this is for my kind of people, that's going to be very helpful. If the images that you use, the customer testimonials, these people look like them, sound like them, or in a similar situation to them, the greater affinity to that, the more likely they are to believe that the recommendations you make in the copy is going to actually work for them, because it's worked for people just like me. Again, this kind of ties into the social proof, but they have to know that you're addressing people just like them, that people in their situation, and that it works for people in their situation. And you want to show that as much as possible through the testimonials and the images you use. And you also want to use the linguistic patterns of, hey, are you suffering from this? Attention, all people who are dealing with this, so they know that your recommendation is tailored for their specific situation. So making sure that they believe, hey, this recommendation, this product, this content, whatever it may be, is for people like me, is an important belief you want to dial in at the very beginning on almost all of the copy that you're going to do, no matter where you are in the funnel. All right, so there's a few other factors that enhance your believability. Now, if you want them to believe what you are going to say, they need to believe that you're a credible source. They need to believe you're an authority, yes, but they need to believe that you're telling the truth. And the best way to do that is to actually tell the truth to them. If you always tell the truth and they can always tell that you're telling the truth to them, then they're not going to distrust you, right? If you say something, if you make a claim that is completely unrealistic and has no proof behind it, if they can tell that you are lying to them, that breaks the trust, and then they don't believe you anymore, right? You become a non-credible source. So this is less of what you should do and more of what you shouldn't do. And then you should never, ever say something that is a lie and that is something that they're going to say, oh, look, he's lied to me here. He's told me a falsehood here. I'm not going to trust anything else he says, because once you've told a lie and they think you've lied, they're not going to believe anything else you say. Maybe if everything else is completely true, even if the thing that you say even if everything you say is true, but they think something you say isn't true, then it doesn't matter. They still think you're a liar and they won't trust you. So you need to make sure you're telling the truth, and you need to make sure that they know that you're telling the truth by using proof, by building up your authority, by using the logic statements, everything I've touched so far, so that they believe you're always telling the truth, so they'll always believe you. And don't tell lies. Don't make unbelievable claims. Make things that are reasonable and believable. Make the boldest claim you can back up with truth, but make sure that they believe you and that they don't think that you're telling a lie, because once they think you're telling a lie, it's game over. They're never going to trust you again. So one thing you can do to make them believe you even more is you can make a damaging omission. You can say something that is true about your product. It's not really a good thing. Let's say your business is brand new. You can say, hey, we haven't been in business for 50 years like everybody else, but that's why we try even harder to make sure our quality service is so good. That's why we outperform them on every other metric, because we know we need to earn your trust so we can be in business for hundreds and hundreds of years or whatever, right? But if you make a damaging omission about something that's not perfect about your product or situation, they're more likely to believe that you're being true about everything else. If you're honest about something that makes you look bad, you're kind of negotiating against yourself. And this isn't something you need to do every time. It's just one of the tools you can bust out from your copywriting toolbox. And if you ever need to, if it's something you determine needs to happen so that they'll believe you, you can do this. You can make a damaging omission. You can admit to something, a weakness or a flaw that you might have. And then that's going to help them believe that everything else you say is true. Because if you are going to tell the truth about something that hurts you, you're probably going to tell the truth about something that helps you as well. So being consistent, being consistently honest, telling the truth, making sure they know you're telling the truth is extremely crucial if you want them to believe that you're a credible source and you want them to believe any of the other claims that you make. So you need to make sure that you're consistently honest across all planes so they will believe you and believe the things you want them to believe, so that they'll purchase the products or take the actions you want them to take. All right, so once we've got their attention, once we have amplified their emotions, their desire, their fear, when we've shown them the path forward, we've influenced their belief, generally at that point, it's time to then ask them to take action. We tell them to click the link, purchase the product, follow us, whatever it might be, whatever we've determined that action is, we tell them to do it. The CTA, the call to action. Now, generally speaking, at this point, if you just tell them what to do and you've connected it back logically to getting what they want, they'll do it. But there's some people, a pretty good chunk, maybe 20, 30% of people that need a little more reason. They need something to drive them over the edge, get them to take that step. And there's a lot of levers we can pull to increase the percentage of people that comply with that call to action, that actually go and click that link or purchase that product. I'm going to be showing you the different psychological levers you can pull, and as well as giving you some out of the box closes you can use to wrap this all up, wrap up whatever piece of copy you've written, and get the person to take action. All right, so human beings are motivated by their desire to get things, but they're almost more motivated by a fear of loss or missing out on opportunity. So there are two sides of the same coin that you can leverage right at the end once you've pointed them towards action to get them to take action now and not postponing. And that is through scarcity and through urgency. Scarcity means, hey, this particular opportunity, there is a limited quantity of this opportunity. And with both scarcity and urgency, you should only use this if it's actually legitimately true. You can't say limited time offer or stock running out soon. You can't just make up something like that. You really need to give them a legitimate reason for why this is a scarce opportunity or it's an urgent opportunity. The time window is closing. If you say, for example, hey, we only have 14 of these left in stock. We imagine we're going to sell out within 15 minutes of sending this email. Click now and purchase. That is a legitimate reason. In their mind, they'll say, I believe that. If you give them a reason that doesn't make any sense, like we have limited stock, they'll say, I've seen that before. Chances are you're making this all up. So if you give them scarcity or urgency, you need to give them a legitimate reason why. But if you can give them a legitimate reason of why this opportunity is actually scarce, I can only bring on one new client this month, or there are only 14 of these left in stock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then you can actually drive them to take action because they're worried they're going to miss out. They're not going to get the chance to take advantage of the opportunity. You've done sort of the takeaway. Now, the other side of that is urgency. That is the time limit. And I kind of gave it a mixed example before. Scarcity is when there's a quantity that's limited, and urgency is this is only going to be available for this amount of time. And again, you can't say this, I won't have this open forever, like whatever. You need to give them a legitimate reason. But if you give them a time reason, as in I will only be accepting new orders for the next 24 hours, and it's legitimate and true, and they know that you've never lied about that in the past, then you can drive a significantly higher percentage of conversion by limiting the time availability by saying, hey, there's a specific week. Some people do this with a bonus. They say, hey, you can get this bonus, but only for the next 10 days or whatever. They put that time on the bonus itself rather than the product itself. That's a great way to do it. But when you look at the CTA and you want to actually drive the conversions, if you can pull the level of real scarcity or real urgency, that's a very powerful way to trigger that fear of loss and get more people to take action now. One of the most powerful ways you can drive action here at the very end is to increase their pain, right? So everyone has a sort of a pain threshold. And if their pain isn't above that threshold, they're not really going to take action. That's why most people live the same boring lives they always live, is because they're not really in pain. So we kind of crank the pain. We talked about the dream, desire, and stuff like that. But if right at the very end, you can crank the pain, if you can paint the picture of what happens if they don't take action, if you can say that they're going to be missing out on a specific opportunity, any way you can crank the pain that they're currently feeling about how worthless their life is right now because they had to solve this problem. If you can amplify it right here at the end, right before you ask for them to take action, you are going to drive a higher percentage because that pain is fresh. You're going to bump them over their pain threshold and they're going to take action. So you can do this with vivid imagery. You can do this by showing other people who are getting something and telling them that they can't miss out. But if right at the end, and we kind of do this with urgency and scarcity and all that stuff, but right at the end, if you can crank the pain one last time, it'll give them the desire and the impetus to then take that action. So every so often, artfully, carefully, you can crank that pain, that fear right at the end, bump them over the threshold, get them to take action. Another very powerful way that you can get them to take action now is to go back to previous commitments they've made and bring those into the present. What I mean by that is if at the beginning of your thing, you say, hey, this is only for serious people, or hey, this type of, if you're the kind of person who wants to achieve this result, or if you're the kind of person who wants to be there for his family, some other type of commitment they made to you or to other people, if you can leverage that and bring that up and connect it with taking the action, whether that's clicking the link or purchasing the product or changing their life or whatever happens to be, if you can bring that previous commitment to bear right then and there when you're asking them to take the action that you're asking them, it amplifies their compliance. They're more likely to take an action that will make it look like they're being consistent with their previous commitments than if you don't leverage that. Leveraging previous commitments and allowing them to make the choice that is going to show that they are consistent with previous commitments or previous character traits that they've decided they're going to enact. Like, hey, like if you want to make the brave choice and finally, start training in whatever gym, whatever, click this link. You're leveraging their previous decision to be brave to make them stay consistent and make that current decision. So if you can leverage previous commitments they made either to you by reading your copy or commitments they made to other people, then you have to be careful with this. You can't be tasteless. You've got to be tactful. But if you can leverage those commitments right then, right now, it will increase the number of people who click the actual link or perform the action. So leverage the power of previous commitments. If you're intelligent, you can start seeding your copy with little micro commitments so that they make micro commitments along the way, and then you can leverage the power of those when you can finally get to the CTA. But regardless, they have already made some commitments in their life, and you can find a way to leverage those to increase the compliance and the action. And you're going to see lots of examples as you do the missions that come later in this, after this video. One of the other things you can do to dramatically increase the number of people who take action right there when you ask for the action at the end of your copy is to show them how quickly they're going to start seeing results. Now, this is where we're going to start talking about the different elements of the value equation and bringing those in at this moment to drive compliance. So let's say you want to help someone find a girlfriend, let's say, like that's the product that you help them. If you say, hey, if you buy this product, within like as soon as this afternoon, you could have a new date set up with an 8 or 9 from your hometown or whatever, right? You could show them that, hey, the result that you're going to get, it's going to happen really, really quickly. All you have to do is click this link and go. If you can shorten or remind them how quickly they're going to start seeing results, and you have to be honest, you can't lie. You have to decide what results they're going to get quickly. But if you can show them how they're going to start making progress quickly, immediately after purchasing or immediately after clicking that link, then they're going to be more likely to take that action because it's going to be perceived as more valuable. Ooh, I could get the result I want. I could have as part of my dream outcome. Now, boom, link clicked, right? Like because you've maximized the value by shortening the time they're going to take between clicking that link, taking that action, and getting the result that they want. You got to link it to that quick result that they want. In addition to shortening the time, another element that you can do is you can walk them through how easy it's going to be to start taking those first steps. So you can show them, and this will come into like when I start talking about closes, but if you can minimize how the effort and sacrifice they're going to have to take in order to start getting their dream result or remove the fear they have, that's another thing that is going to get them over the line to click the link or take the action that you're going to have them do. So you can show them how easy it is to get started or how simple and effortless whatever changes that you're going to enact. And again, you're going to kind of have to pick whichever element of the value equation is most closely connected to your product and really emphasize that. For some products or offerings or actions that you're going to have them take, maybe the time or sacrifice isn't the right one. You should do the risk. But once you've determined that you're going to show them how easy something is, you can hit that again right before the CTA. You can just take a little loop through and do 1 line, 2 lines and talk about how that's going to reduce the sacrifice or reduce the struggle that they're currently going through, or how taking action is going to be easy. And that's going to be something that drives them over the edge to actually click or take the action you need them to do. So reduce the effort and sacrifice right there at the end. So one of the things you want to do is you want to reduce the risk of taking action in their mind, and you want to maybe amplify the risk of not taking action. So once you have them there and you're ready to ask them to take a specific action, you can make a guarantee, especially if they're about to purchase a product. And that's when you start showing a 30-day guarantee or a money-back guarantee or conditional guarantee. We'll talk about different types of guarantees. There's a lot of different ways to structure it. But if you can say, hey, look, I'm going to take on the risk. There's no risk to you. You just make this purchase. You're going to get the result. And if for some reason it doesn't work out, you pay, like, I'll refund you the money. Or if you do everything, show me that you've done everything, but you don't get the result, I'll refund you the money. There's a lot of ways to do this, and we'll get more into this when we start talking about long form copy, how to actually structure those guarantees. But at the very end, you want to reduce the amount of risk that they see moving forward. So you can do that by saying, hey, I'm going to give you a guarantee. You can show them how certain it is by talking about how many people have taken the action that they're taking and gotten the result that they wanted. You can increase the certainty that way. You can increase the risk that they perceive in not taking action. But right at the very end, if you can play with that lever of the value equation, show them how taking the action that they're going to take is guaranteed to get them the result, either by showing them your guarantee or showing them certainty through other people, or by increasing the risk of not taking action, the risk that they're going to experience that way, you're going to get a lot more people decide to actually take that action that you're recommending them. So find a way to reduce the risk of taking action, and you're going to see a lot more people do the things that you're asking them to do. All right. So another thing you could do to get more people to take action, specifically when you're going to ask them to make a purchase, is you can do something called price anchoring, right? Now, what price anchoring does is it makes the price or the cost of taking the action that you want them to take or buying the product you want them to buy, you make it seem like it's a lot less by comparing it to something that's really, really big, right? So you say, hey, let's say, for example, you're selling a course on how to gain muscle, let's say, and you say, hey, for my personal training clients, the guidance I'm about to give you, the nutrition plans, the workouts, I usually charge $2,000 a month for access to that kind of training and accountability. But for you, I've decided to give you this special decrease because I'm creating this course. This course, you can get the same insight, but instead of $2,000, this course is only $97, right? Now, in their mind, they're comparing, they're saying, oh, look, I'm getting this. I'm paying $97 for these insights and for this result, for getting in good shape, gaining muscle. But it's a crazy good deal because I'm not paying $2,000 to be his client, right? Because the comparison exists, the price seems way lower and it seems like a deal. Whereas if you just compared it to zero, you said, hey, you have two options. You can either do nothing and maybe get strong, or you can pay me $97 and get strong. And now in their mind, $97 seems so much more because you're comparing it to zero. So usually before you ask them to take action or you ask them to make a purchase, you can make it a comparison. You say, hey, it could cost you this much, but it's only costing you this much. Other people charge this much. I charge this much. I normally charge this much, but because you watched this video, I'm only going to charge this much. You can compare it to something in the past. And as long as it's legitimate and it makes sense in their brain, it's going to make the price seem way less just because of what you're comparing it to, right? Someone might look really, really tall around short people, and then he might look really, really short around tall people, right? It's playing with comparison to minimize the perceived size of the price. And you can do this for the cost, the sacrifice, the time. You can do price anchoring with any cost or sacrifice or time, any negative thing that is associated with taking action, any cost that they might incur, just by comparing it. You can say, hey, look, you're going to learn how to achieve this result in 10 weeks. If you try to do it by yourself, it might take you 10 years, right? You can do that. You can do the comparison with time, with cost, any sort of negative that they have to experience. You just simply compare it to that. You can flip this sort of comparison principle around for the other side. You can say, hey, if you're doing it by yourself, you might gain 10 pounds. Doing it with me, you're going to gain 50 pounds of muscle, right? You can do this comparison, but it's extremely common and extremely useful to do with the actual price. When you start talking about the dollar number, say, hey, it could be a lot, but it's not. That's one of the most powerful ways to get someone to take action and remove that impediment of, it's going to cost a lot or it's going to be difficult. So use price anchoring to make it seem like the price that you're asking is actually a crazy, crazy good deal for them. All right, so let's talk about a few of the common closes you can use, a few of the common ways you can wrap up some copy and get them to take action. I'm going to be layering in some of the principles I've already talked about and giving you some kind of play by the numbers approaches for getting people to actually take action. Now, the first one is probably the most common one that I like to use. It's one of the most effective ones, and it's called the two-way close. Sometimes you can do a three-way close, but it's basically you give them two options. So you say, hey, look, you can take and go about your day and just live your normal life like you were before, ignore everything you learned and keep being miserable, or you can purchase this product, you can click this link, whatever, and then go on to get your dream outcome, right? The two-way close. You can sometimes you can do a three-way close where you say, hey, you can either just go back, ignore this, and go back to living your miserable life. You can try and figure it out by yourself by taking what I've taught you. It'll take you 10, 20 years. You'll probably make a lot of mistakes along the way, or purchase the product. It happens really quickly. You're going to learn fast. You're going to avoid all mistakes. You're going to save a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The key with this type of close is you want to paint all the other paths besides purchasing the product as terrible paths. Like if you're imagining a literal path, you want to say, hey, look, it's rocky, it's steep, there's predators, thorns, terrible, terrible, terrible path. You go down this path, it's easily paved, air conditioned, refreshments along the way. It's a nice, easy, enjoyable path. You want to paint the paths as it's different, right? You want to compare them to where they say, okay, I have these options and I can either do the hard and terrible stuff and never get what I want, or I can do this stuff, which is less terrible, right? Again, this is where that comparison and price anchoring really comes into play. This path is less terrible and I get what I want. I'm going to take that action. So the two-way close is one of the most powerful closes you can use. You can use this when you're selling a product. You can sell this. You can use this when you're selling an action like clicking a link or following someone, et cetera, et cetera. The two-way close or the three-way close, whichever one you choose to use, is a very powerful and a very easy to use close to get people to take action whenever and wherever you need them to do so. So this is kind of a variation of the two-way close, but I really, really like busting this one out, especially when it's something involving money. I like to say, hey, there's two kinds of people in this world. There are people who are good at making excuses, and then there are people who are good at making money, or good at getting in shape, or are good at creating a wonderful relationship in their life. Depends on what you're offering them. And you say, which one are you? Click the link below, purchase the product, whatever. You kind of limit it to two paths, but you make it about, hey, at the end of the day, you can make excuses, you can take action. There are people who are lazy, and then there are people who take action and get what they want. Which are you going to be? The, hey, there are two kinds of people path is a really, really powerful one. Anytime you can layer in identity into those two paths that you provide, the more likely they are to purchase or to take action, because they want to prove to themselves. And again, the highest part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is they have that self-fulfillment that I am a good person. You want to, whenever possible, connect that with taking the correct action. This is a really powerful way because it helps you kind of avoid a lot of excuses. This doesn't work in all markets, but saying, hey, there are two kinds of people who are good at getting success and people that make excuses, which you're going to be today, is a really, really powerful way to get someone to take action when you need them to. Another thing you can do, and this has a lot to do with that pain threshold element I talked about before, is going back between pain and relief. Pain and relief. Pain and relief. So you can, before you ask for the actual action, you can say, hey, you can really crank the pain, and then you can show how they're going to get relief if they purchase the product. And then you can do that 2 or 3 times. Yeah, usually about 2 to 3. 3 is the max. 2 is about as many as you really want to do normally. You go pain, you paint a picture of what it's like if they don't take action, and then you show them how taking action and purchasing the product or whatever you're going to have to do, watching the video, subscribing, et cetera, whatever that is going to relieve that pain. Then you go back to pain and back to relief. You kind of go back and forth, like going between the pool and a hot tub. And that shock and that contrast will get them over the threshold and get them to take action. Between pain and relief, it's a good way to sum up everything you've talked about in your copy and get them to take action by cranking them above the pain threshold. So whenever you're looking at doing a CTA like this, just show them the pain, show them what the relief is going to look like, show them the pain, show them the relief, have them do that, click the button, have them purchase. That's a really, really solid close you can use in a lot of different situations. Another really useful close you can use is something called the hand-holding close, where you basically tell them step by step what's going to happen or what they need to do to take action. Okay, click the button below. It's going to take you to a page where you can enter your name, your credit card information, your shipping details, hit OK. What that's going to do is it's in an email, and you tell them exactly step by step what they need to do to purchase your product or take the action. Or, hey, click this link. What it's going to do is take you to my YouTube page. There's a big button there that says subscribe with a big notification. You're going to click that. Basically, what you do is you give them step-by-step instructions of what they need to do so they can kind of paint a little movie in their brain of them actually taking action. That's kind of a benefit of it. It also makes it to where it doesn't seem like there's no uncertainty that makes them afraid of taking action. They know exactly what's going to happen. And it's a really powerful way to get them to take, especially if there's any level of complexity to actually purchasing or taking that next step, you want to use this. One of the cool things about these closes is you can mix them together. Depending on what you're trying to accomplish, you can use multiple closes. You can do the two-way close and do the handle close together, right? You can say, hey, look, here's your 3 paths. If you do purchase, here's what you're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. You can take them through. It depends on the type of copy you're writing. For long-form copy, you can do more closes. Short-form copy, you're going to do maybe 1 or 0 closes. It really just depends on where you're at. But the handhold close is a really good one if you want to give them a little movie inside of their brain of what's going to happen after they click, how they're going to get access, how they're going to start to change their life. And it's going to be a good way to remove any of that uncertainty and get them kind of imagining a future where they purchase your product, which is going to massively improve the number of people who actually take action and purchase the product or click the link or whatever action you've determined that is the CTA for your piece of copy. Another thing you could do, another powerful close, is the "Are you serious about this?" close. Asking them if they are actually serious about getting that dream outcome, if they're actually serious about removing that pain, and sort of forcing them to make a decision is one of the most powerful ways to get them to actually decide. A lot of people will put off decision. A lot of people will sort of do mental gymnastics to avoid making change. If you sort of confront them and say, wait a second, are you actually serious about this? Like if you're actually serious about improving your family, if you're actually serious about getting in shape, if you're actually serious about winning that tournament, then I recommend you click. I recommend you purchase. I recommend you watch this video. You can throw that "Are you serious?" close on them, and it's going to get them to say, well, you know what? I actually am. And this is kind of a mix of the consistency stuff. It's kind of a mix of the two-way close. It's kind of the mix of, what kind of person are you? Are you going to make excuses or not? But flipping it on them and making them kind of prove to themselves and you that they are serious is a powerful close. They get a lot of people to take action. And one of the cool things about this close is it gets the people to actually believe that they are serious about it this time. They have to actually kind of back it up. So now when they actually consume the product, they're going to be much more likely to take that information and use it in their life. And if they use that information in their life, they're going to change their life, which is great. And they're going to tell other people that they changed their life, and they're going to be more likely to purchase the next product and the next product and the next product because you're actually providing value to them. They're more likely to get more value, be happy with their product, the actual product and the service and the value that they purchase than if you just sort of have them purchase without making that level of commitment of sort of crossing that level and saying, no, I actually am serious. I've made a decision. I'm serious about this time for real, getting in shape. But this time for real, improving my life. So the Are You Serious close is a very powerful one. And again, this is one of the ones you can mix into so many other closes that it's a very versatile one you want in your copywriting toolbox. This next close is called the money alone is not enough close. And this is specifically valuable where you're asking them to make a purchase. And this is usually best for like long form sales copy when you've told them what they need to do to be successful. You've revealed the path forward. They know what they need to do, but it is going to be very difficult for them to do it by themselves. This is where you say, hey, look, knowing what you need to do is 1% of the battle. The other 99% is you need the accountability, you need the guidance, you need the help and the people answering your questions along the way. This is where you really lean into how you're removing the roadblocks, removing the risk, and cutting down the time through actually having the product. The money or the information is not enough close is a really, really powerful one, especially when there's any level of community, there's any level of assistance beyond just, hey, here's some information. So this is a really powerful one if that's the type of product you're using, because basically you're saying you can't just take this information and run with it, because that's one thing that the part of them is going to think. They're thinking, he's told me what I need to do. I'm going to go do it by myself. And honestly, at the end of the day, humans are really bad at making changes all by themselves. It's usually best to give them community. It's usually best to give them access to mentorship and guidance and coaching. So what this does is help sort of prevent them from doing that mental gymnastics and escaping the action, and instead redirecting them towards the action that's actually going to give them the results and purchasing a product that's going to help them make true change towards the things that they want. So helping them understand that information isn't enough, that the how matters a lot more than the what is a really powerful way right at the end to get more people to take action. So use this close at your discretion. One of my favorite closes to mix into all of this is what money is used for. Like, this is what money is designed for. Because a lot of people, especially if they're kind of stingy or they're kind of worried about actually making a big purchase decision, if you're like, hey man, like money is just numbers on a screen, right? It's there to improve your life. This product is going to help you achieve a major outcome in your life. That's what money's for. So trade the money and improve your life, right? Like, you want people to spend money on things that are actually going to help them. And with all of these closes, you have to be very careful to only use them in an ethical manner and in a place, in a product, and in a situation where the person is actually going to improve their life and get something valuable for them. And then it's up to you to get as many people to do that as possible. You're morally obligated to use every trick of the trade to help someone improve their life. At least that's how I view it. So this is a really powerful one. When someone's hesitant because the price is there, maybe this is for high ticket product, you're having them pay thousands and thousands of dollars. You have to help them, especially if they can afford it and it makes sense. You got to be like, listen, as long as you can still eat afterwards and you can still like live your life, that's what the money's for. It's not just there to be numbers in a bank account. It's there to improve your life. So use the money, improve your life, have this cool experience. That's what it's for. Use the money. If you can be that guy that recommends it, it kind of helps them tap into their own innate desire to spend money anyways, you're going to get a lot of people to cross over and lay down the money, invest in something that's going to help their life, than if you just sort of leave them to have that avenue of escape of, oh, it's a lot of money, and they bounce off. And then they live a terrible life for the rest of their life. Personally, I want to produce more change and more positivity in the world. So one of my favorite things to mix in, especially on a high ticket product, is, hey, this is what money is built for. Trade the money to improve your life. It'll get a lot of people to take action that their label will thank you for, because at the end of the day, that is what money is for. It's there to improve your life. And if you have a product that can help them improve their life, it is your moral obligation to get them to do that as much as you possibly can. as a copywriter, you are basically